Well, I didn't want to go there, but I bought a cheap Chinese knockoff. Let's check it out. Okay, before we look at these, a little bit of history. If you've watched any of my previous videos featuring my Hamilton Khaki Field mechanical, you'll be familiar with my unfulfilled longing for a nice 36mm version of this iconic military-style field watch. Hamilton's original GGW-113 specified wristwatch was made for military use by pilots and released in 1969. It was 33mm in diameter and featured a hand-wound 17-joule ETA movement, and it was designed to be serviceable, unlike its little brother, the MIL-W46374, for use by ground troops and made to be disposable instead of serviced. As per military specs, it had this very particular dial, and it's very legible, and there's no branding. And keep in mind, this was at a time well before quartz watches would be trusted enough to replace mechanical watches for military use. The Khaki Field mechanical is a near perfect modern reissue. Unfortunately, the smallest of two versions is 38mm, just a bit too large for my taste with my 6 3/4 inch wrist. Vintage reissues of the Khaki Field, such as the Hamilton 9415, are unfortunately too small, as they too closely recreate the case of the originals, measuring in at a diminutive 33mm size. So I've been feeling like Goldilocks in the famous fairy tale where she visited the home of the bear family while they were away and was only satisfied by the intermediate-sized chair to sit in. While enjoying my 38mm khaki, I continued searching for possible 36mm replacements. MWC, Military Watch Company, has a broad catalog of military-style watches, and I did find a 36mm GGW-113, but it's got an automatic movement which makes the watch pretty thick. In a perfect world, I would find a manual wound movement, even though their popularity seems to be pretty limited. That's kind of unfortunate. Plus, the dial and hands, I don't know, they're just a little off. Benris has once again released a beautiful mechanical DTU/2A with that perfect dial, but unfortunately it too follows the originals too closely at 34mm, and it also has a very non-field watch price tag. But Benris's offerings and their website are beautiful nonetheless, so check it out sometime. The budget military homage watch company Militado has received tons of praise for its high-value 38mm khaki homage, the ML05. But more recently, they introduced a 36mm version. This definitely caught my attention as it really looks the part with its bead-blasted case finish and an excellent GGW-113 dial. And instead of an automatic movement to thicken it up, it's a quartz movement, completely fulfilling the military's original intention of a reliable, inexpensive timepiece. And to be honest, Militado can't be too harshly shamed for replicating the Hamilton khaki with this one, because this design was designated by the US military and not by Hamilton. There were originally several watch companies commissioned to produce these watches, including Hamilton, Benris, Westclocks, and Marathon. So I give them a pass on this one. I should mention that there's another similar model from what might be a sister company called, I guess, Redune, but theirs is a 34mm version. So again, for me, too small. Anyway, let's take a look at this Militado ML07. Here it is. I am not going to comment much on the NATO strap since I hate NATOs, so I took it off right away. I had a couple of Archer quick release nylon straps ready to go, and that's what's going on right here. And opted for the matte stainless steel buckles, which match the case perfectly. So I actually got two of these. At $50 each, it's hard to say no to that proposition. This is the ML07. It's got a Seiko VH31 Meca-quartz movement. It has a 2 to 3 year battery life, and it ticks 4 times per second, making it look a lot like a 2 Hz mechanical movement. This one also has a K1 mineral glass high domed bubble crystal. The other one here is an ML07B. This is powered by a quartz Miyota 2035 movement, which has a 4-year battery life, and again, standard 1 beat per second. It's got the low dome sapphire crystal, which I like a lot because it reminds me of the modern Hamilton. There's also an ML07C, which has the K1 glass crystal and the 2035 Miyota movement. I'm not sure if there's an ML07A, but I would love one that has the combination of the VH31 Meca-quartz movement and sapphire crystal. Although, to be honest, so far I haven't had any issues with the K1 mineral crystal at all. Okay, here's my assessment. Build quality is exceptional, 0 issues. And keep in mind, I bought 2 of these. There's 0 defects like finish imperfections, no dust underneath the crystal, or no printing errors on the dial at all. Function, no problems, and the quartz movements have been keeping atomic time for several days now. Packaging, nice outer box with the military planes. Got the metal tins now instead of the poop brown boxes that they used to have earlier. Good foam, and it's well wrapped in a cellophane, and it also has a case back sticker. Unfortunately, one of the boxes was crushed, but it's nice. Definitely higher quality than I was expecting considering the price. Here are some subtle design elements that deserve a lot of praise. The dial has the exact GGW113 look, including the faux patina lume, the correct number font, the matte black dial field color, and no branding. All of this makes the dial just perfect. A slimmer bezel to maximize the dial size, especially noticeable with the low dome sapphire crystal, since it has no edge distortion and it displays the maximum dial area. Shorter lugs with a closer lug hole placement, which eliminates the case gap that's noticeable on the 38mm Hamilton Khaki, all without sacrificing the familiar proportions of the GGW113. Drilled lugs and removable spring bars, which allow for a very wide range of strap choices. Hands, they have good length, perfect shape, and the correct paint colors. The choice of a low-domed sapphire crystal instead of just a flat sapphire crystal, for example, like what Hamilton put on the Khaki Field quartz models. Good lume. I evaluate a watch's lume when I look at the dial in the middle of the night after my eyes have gotten accustomed to the dark, as well as the low-level residual glow of the hands and markers. Can I tell the time within plus or minus 1 minute of my digital clock? Well, the Militado ML07 is absolutely adequate and is more legible than, for example, my Rolex Explorer. The perfect 36mm case size, while still achieving an 18mm lug width and maintaining the characteristic proportions of the GGW113 field watches. Here are a few things that could be better. The winding crown could use a little increase in width, not so much for manual winding, but for setting the time and also a little bit for aesthetics. There's no case bevel to make room for the strap. That's a pretty minor thing, but it does rub against my strap a little bit. Although it is faithful to the original design of the GGW113, the lume along the length of the seconds hand allows for some distraction when telling the time at a glance at night. I think Hamilton had it right when they decided to limit the luminous application to the tip of the hand with the modern Khaki. And that's all I got for negatives. Now let's talk about quartz. As I approach retirement, I'm getting more and more budget conscious, including the cost of servicing multiple mechanical watches. Quartz is accurate, low maintenance, and I've learned to re-embrace the ticking seconds hand. So now I want to talk in depth about the case size. That's the most important thing for me. A 33mm like the 9415 is just too small in the mirror, and also it's too small when I look down at my wrist. The modern 38mm Hamilton looks pretty good in the mirror, but when I'm looking down at my wrist, it looks a little big. The 36mm is perfect whether I look in the mirror or straight down at my wrist. It's just right. So are these Militados good enough to replace the Hamilton? Well, I think it's very likely. I love that buttery smooth feeling of winding the Hamilton's Swiss movement, but I just can't get past that 38mm size. I like smaller watches. I'm in another accumulation phase in my collection, but only to try things out before I have another purging phase, just like what happened last year. I like both of my Militados. The one with the VH31 movement and bubble crystal very convincingly play the part of a vintage piece, just in a more wearable size. And the other one with the low dome crystal and ticking seconds hand is like a no-frills modern interpretation of the original intention specified by the GGW113 government requirements. So there it is. So which ones am I going to keep? Which ones I'm going to sell? I'm just going to enjoy rotating them through this trial period. And I think the correct decision will present itself when it's time. Meanwhile, there's another 36mm addition to my collection that I want to introduce, but I'll have to do so in a separate video. So please stay tuned. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.